All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the November 19th, 2020 Zoning Board of Appeals hearing for the City of Rochester. We will now begin the public hearing, and at this time, I will turn it over to the chair to begin opening remarks.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, good evening. See, I'm already screwing up.
Flashback to last year.
Yeah. Almost the last meeting of the year. So good evening, everyone. We are meeting tonight under extraordinary circumstances. Our community, along with communities around the country and the world, has been observing social distancing and other health safety measures to slow the progress of the COVID-19 pandemic for several months. Pursuant to the State of New York Disaster Emergency Declaration and executive orders, as well as the local emergency orders issued by the mayor of the city of Rochester, we are authorized to hold this hearing virtually, subject to waivers of certain requirements of New York State Open Meetings Law and the Rochester Zoning Code. In addition, at a prior meeting, we amended the zoning board rules and procedures to allow us to conduct this hearing in a manner I will now describe. Primarily, these waivers involve the requirements for in-person attendance at this hearing. The emergency orders permit us to hold this hearing by teleconference with no in-person attendance, allow applicant presentations by teleconference, and allow public comments, both in favor of and opposed to the application, to be submitted by email, by hard copy document, mailed to the zoning office, or deposited in the secure drop box located in the link entrance or in the permit office of City Hall, or by call-in to the hearing. Written public comments were required to be submitted by 5:00 p.m. yesterday, and requests to schedule call-in comments were required to be submitted by noon today. Although the conduct of this hearing has been altered from some of our normal procedures, many things remain the same. All the normal notifications for this hearing, including mail notice, publication, and the posting of notice, were followed. All the normal timeframes for applicant presentations and comments in favor of and opposed to the application remain the same. The normal staff report was prepared and posted on the city's website. And most importantly, this board will hear, review, and make decisions about all the applications with the same diligence and using the same standards as required by the zoning code. Before we begin, I would like to explain the ground rules of the hearing. When a case is called, the applicant will be allowed 15 minutes to present their case to the board. The applications and full staff reports were all posted on the city website at least a week ago and were available for the public to review. All applicants were advised to ensure that their applications were complete and included all information that they intend to present at this hearing tonight. As the application is being presented, staff will identify and show the pages of the application that the applicant is addressing in the presentation. Following our normal procedure, the board members may ask the applicant questions about the application. After the applicant's presentation is completed, any scheduled call-in comments will be heard, and staff will read into the record any written comments that were submitted after the staff report was posted on the city's website. All public comments will be limited to 10 minutes if submitted by a neighborhood association, and 3 minutes for all other comments, and the reading of comments will be summarized to fit within these timeframes. If multiple submissions repeat the same comments, staff will summarize those comments. Public comments that were received in time to be included in the staff report will not be read into the hearing record. After the call-in comments have been heard and written comments have been read, the applicant will have 5 minutes to provide any rebuttal testimony. At the conclusion of the applicant's rebuttal testimony, the case will be closed. However, if the board determines that substantial new evidence has been presented by the applicant during the hearing, either during original or rebuttal testimony, the case will be adjourned and held to the board's next announced hearing date in order to give the public the opportunity to review and comment on the new evidence. After completing all of the hearing on the agenda tonight, the board may take a short break, which will be announced. After the break, the board will commence deliberations and voting on all applications, except any application that has been adjourned to another meeting date. Please note that if your case is approved today, a written decision will be mailed to you within 15 business days. The decision will inform you of the next steps to complete the approval process. Before we open the case, Please note that we all are volunteers. I would like each of the board members to confirm their presence for purpose of a roll call and establish a quorum for this meeting and introduce themselves and mention their area of expertise. So we will start with Jim.
Good evening. My name is Jim Best. I live in the northwest quadrant of the city. I was a engineer in the telephone industry for just under 50 years.
Thank you, Jim. Matt?
Matt Bain. I live in the northwest quadrant of the city. I work in software development.
Thank you, Matt. Lorene?
Good evening. I'm Lorene Jennings, and I live in the East District of Rochester, and I'm in marketing and communications.
Thank you, Lorene. Cora?
I'm Cora Murphy. I am in the Northeast District. I'm a licensed real estate broker.
Thank you, Cora. Joe?
My name is Joe O'Donnell. I live in the northeast section of the city, and I'm a practicing architect in Rochester.
Thanks, Joe. Holly?
Hi, I'm Holly Wheeler. I live in the southeast quadrant of the city, and my background in current employment is in higher education.
Thank you, Holly. And I'm Tyrese Bryant. I live in the southwest section of the city. I've got a background in urban planning, and I work in real estate and land use development. So let's get this started with case number one.
Case number one is a case that was held from the May 7th, 2020 zoning board hearing. It's an area variance request, file number V-047-1920. Address is 1290 Lake Avenue, located in the R3 High Density Residential District. The applicant is Suki Cintrone of the University Preparatory Charter School for Young Men, and the purpose is to legalize the construction of a garage along Maplewood Avenue, accessory to an existing school, not meeting the location requirements for detached accessory structures. And there are a number of applicants here this evening. 1, 2, 3, 4, I believe, total for case number one.
Okay, so Suki, are you with us?
I am. Hello.
Thank you. And so you have three other individuals with you?
Yes, I do. Let me just introduce them very quickly. I have my CEO with me, Mr. Walter Larkin. I have our director of CTE with us, which is Tracy Harris. And I have our construction teacher through the CTE pathway, Mr. Corey Bogart. All three of us are here. I just want to make sure.
Let me swear you got, go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to make a clarification that it's asking for a temporary variance, not a
So, and then I'll make the clarification. So the city does not have temporary variances. So
okay.
It'll be a variance. And Matt, you want
Gotcha.
to go a bit more?
Yeah, we discussed this in the pre-meeting. So the board members are aware what you're requesting. So we can talk a little bit more about that. Thank you, though.
No problem.
Okay, let me swear all four of you in and give you your time to get started. So do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you are about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I'll need a yes from all four of you.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, 15 minutes. The floor is yours.
I can start. Just we brought this up. This case was up just a few sessions ago originally. And there was a hold letter placed on it based on feedback from the neighborhood association as well as the block association. The zoning committee asked and tasked us with 3 or 4 different points of directives. And we just have come back to the board to say that all of those have been accomplished. We have been able to meet with not only the block committee, but various members of our neighborhood. And we were able to hold a meeting with them and talk at actually multiple meetings with them and talk about our projects and why we are asking for this variance. And I think they understand the limitations of UPREP and its buildings right now at 1290 Lake Avenue, and as such are now partnering with us to make sure that this will be something that will be temporary, and if we do end up relocating, that we would take with us. And I think we have accomplished all of those three items that they've asked for. I will ask my CEO or anybody else who wants to chime in to add anything else.
No, that covers it. We had a really good face-to-face meeting with them to talk about this thing. And also one good thing that did come out of it is that even some of them agreed to, once we get back to brick and mortar, because we're fully remote right now, they're looking at trying to support us with some tutoring opportunities because we come from various backgrounds.
Anybody else from the school want to make any comments during your testimony period, or we want to jump right into questions if your guys are all set? Okay, hearing none.
I think Ms. Harris wanted to say something.
I can't see. I can only see like 4 people.
Yeah, just as the CTE director, we were very delighted for the interaction with our community and neighbors, and particularly great to see several correspondents, just understanding our need, as well as the fact that we intend to remain good neighbors, responsible neighbors, impacting not only the community, but the young men's life for the better. So it's great to, just be in a place where people understand that we're joint neighbors and co-laborers for the community as well as for the young men. And so we're looking forward to continue to work together to enhance our community and the young men of UPrep.
I just want to add one more thing, which is just that I think the lines of communication have been opened because we were a new administration coming in, and really, and I think now that there's clear relationship established, there's emails back and forth about various things that are happening in the neighborhood as I think Kevin McTeague's letter would illustrate, one of the letters that will be read during this process will illustrate it, is that we are coming together truly as neighbors to problem solve a storage issue that we are continuing to have. So,
we just don't do zoning here. We bring people together too. That's part of what the ZBA does here. So
all right now.
let's kick into questions. I appreciate the information you all submitted. So I'm gonna start with Jim. Go ahead, Jim.
Very well stated, Tyrese. I understand that UPrep actually owns this property. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
And you stated in your application that if the school moves, that you would be taking the structure down.
Yes, sir.
If for some reason the school moves and you lease that property to somebody, I would certainly assume the structure would still be taken down.
Correct.
When you mentioned that you met with some people from the Maplewood Neighborhood Association, how do those talks go with them?
Actually, amazingly well. And I will have Walter chime in because he was also part of the conversations. Initially, we met with 1 or 2 neighbors over Zoom when COVID was in its beginning stages. And then we actually invited about 6 of them. They came into the school and had a chance to meet with us, had a chance to address some of their concerns with regards to things in the area that they were concerned about. And it was really like a problem solving time. And it was amazing because we all kind of just talked about, well, we could do this or we could do that. And they were like, yeah, and we could probably do this or that as well. So I think it was very collaborative, and I think it was very helpful. And now, like I said, the emails go back and forth. Whenever we have stuff going on at UPrep, we let them know. And they also let us know, for example, they're having a neighborhood block party, hopefully in 2021, that they would like our help with. So they want to enlist our students as well as our staff to be a part of that.
Okay, there are 2 neighborhood associations, the Maplewood Neighborhood Association and the other is the block group. And it
Correct.
sounds like your answer has more to do with the block group. Was this a collaborative thing? Both groups there at the same time? And
No, sir. The Neighborhood Ave Association, we've reached out to, we've received responses or I guess answers or replies, but we've not gotten together with them. It's been more of our immediate neighbors.
I
thank
believe,
you, thank you, Ms. Hunter. Oh, go ahead, Walter.
no problem, Mr. Best. I believe Ms. St. I forgot her name, but the one lady who's been very active with us, I believe she's a part of both of the organizations.
Yes, Shannon. Yeah, yeah. Joanne, I'm sorry, Joanne, not Shannon, Joanne.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Matt, any questions?
Yeah, so I heard the original testimony, and I wanted to raise the question around, you guys mentioned that there was the shed itself would be destructed and reconstructed by the students. What was the frequency of the destruction and reconstruction of it?
So it's only been construction so far. I'll let Mr. Bogart speak to that when we were in session. Mr. Bogart?
So the shed is built somewhat modularly, so it can be taken down and moved, if the school does move. It's actually built, the siding will conceal it, but it's built to be split down the center. And then each, I guess if you're looking at it from the south elevation, each one of the bays, looking at the overhead door, will be able to be trailered away to keep it a temporary structure.
Gotcha, but my question was more so around the time frame that you guys were working with.
So it was built as a class project, but as COVID limited us from the school, we were unable to finish it. We don't plan to take it down and put it back up in any regular fashion. It's made to be temporary to store things, sporting equipment and other needs for the school, but it will remain in one piece until it's removed.
So also just to add, the students worked on it for about 3 months, I would say. And then we had to stop also because we discovered that there was a process that the structure was too big and we had to come to the zoning committee. So the work was stopped and then COVID hit. And now we are fully remote. So hopefully we can come back and Mr. Bogart will work on it should this be approved, but the students can come back and continue to finish it. I think you were asking about how much the students are working on it. Am I right, Mr. Bain?
More or less, yeah. Beyond that, I don't have any questions.
Hey, Matt, you mind if I follow up with your question? Because I didn't get a clear answer to it. So let's say the students let's say it's the 2024 school year. It's starting off in September of 2024. Will the structure be reconstructed for a new class that school year and in 2025, 2026, et cetera? Okay, so I guess that was because in the last hearing, it was kind of discussed as this is a class project. And I think a lot of the board members, we thought that it was something that would be done annually.
No,
for different classes. Okay.
No, it's just the one structure that particular class worked on it. And the goal is if we move, because right now, we have 450 young men and our building is small. So one of our mid to long-term goals is to find a bigger facility, but we will get down upon us if we are able to find something bigger to leave. But right now we're there.
Gotcha.
For the next
So it was a
couple of years.
one-time class project.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. So I think that clears up. I think some of, especially my question, I think Matt's question too. Okay, thank you, Lorraine.
Can I just say one thing? I'm sorry, before Lorraine goes, I would say that perhaps the students might add inside by building shelves or other things on the inside of the structure in the coming years, but it won't be to the structure.
Okay, well, thank you. Yes, and I did want to thank you for taking the initiatives that we requested regarding the neighborhood outreach. So sounds like it was a good worked out to be a good situation for everyone. But I just have one question, and that is, why did you determine the structure to be temporary? I mean, why wouldn't you just build, have the students build a shed to basically house all your equipment and everything else? Because of the time of the uncertainty to how long the school's going to be there?
Well, that's exactly it. So we really need a bigger area. We definitely need a bigger building. We also need athletic fields because a lot of our sports teams have nowhere to practice or do anything else. So our strategic plan for the next 3 to 5 years is to find a facility to actually be able to sustain our young men and also to grow should we choose to do that. And so we want to be able to take something with us as we go, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, you could take the shed with you.
Exactly.
No, I'm just kidding. Thank you.
No.
Thank you. That was a good one. Cora?
No, I think all my questions were answered. Thank you.
Great. Joe?
Well, just a couple comments. I mean, the whole idea of a temporary variance, never have I seen it in all the years I've served on this board. It would be unprecedented and concerning that it sets a precedent or is something we could be criticized for and maybe even legally challenged. I don't know. I'd have to ask Joanna that. But the other thing I'm like struggling with is that the next owner comes in and asks that it be approved for them because we approved it for you, puts us in another precarious situation. And my third comment, this is a question as well. It sounds to me that you presented it to the neighborhoods as a temporary variance, which I'm not sure if they understood does not even exist. And that's why they went along with it. Had they known it had to be a permanent structure, would they have agreed to it?
In our meetings, they were aware of that. And I can tell you with us owning the property, we house 7th through 12th graders. So you imagine the size of the young men that's there. The school in itself is really built for elementary. So if we, in our strategic plan in the next 3 to 5 years, if we move and find a better facility, we still own that property. For us, we would be looking for elementary school, or we may, we're looking to grow out ourselves. So we do a K through 6. It will maintain with us, but an elementary school would not need the storage for athletic equipment and the CTE equipment, the things that we needed for at high school. Elementary school would not need that, so that structure would not be needed if we move from the building. But again, we own the property, so if we grow down, it will become our elementary school. Or if we decide to lease it out, we would lease it out to an elementary school. They wouldn't have a need for that.
I also want to say that Kevin McTeague was asked the same and raised the same concerns in our meeting because he was present for our meeting. What, once again, as I can echo Walter's comments, which is basically we are running out of space for things. We don't have an athletic field or facility, and a lot of that storage goes towards storing football equipment. And we have a locker room, but it's tiny. And sports equipment, they understood. So what they were asking to put in the variance was that it was only going to be a certain amount of time, which is why the structure and I think the zoning committee asked us to put a time limit on it as well, which we have. Which is why I think they were okay with us moving forward because there was a time limit attached to it. Meanwhile, I also want to say that there was a pod back there, probably just about that size. This structure is obviously bigger, but the pod has been removed.
Okay. I don't have anything else.
Thank you, Joe. Holly?
Just one question. You said in your letter that you sent in on the 7th of October that responding to the section in the hold letter about being the structure being related to curriculum and we asked for more information on usage. And you said in your letter that it'll be based on need. So is that something that, all day long are the kids going to be going in and out of it? Or is it just, can you just kind of tell us a little bit more about that usage?
Sure. So the stuff that we store in there is going to be air conditioners that we're going to have to take out during the winter months, and we'll store those in there. So once or twice they'll go in there. Football equipment, once they'll come out for reconditioning, and once they'll go back after the season is done. Does that make sense?
It does. Yes. Thank you.
That's what it's there for. It's not an in and out type of situation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Holly. I didn't have any questions. I obviously this would be great for you all, but I just echo what Joe said. That the tough part is we understand the issue, we understand the challenge you all have, but from us looking at this from specifically a land use challenge for us and something that is lives with the life of the property. I just want to make sure I continue to articulate that is what we're weighing here, not what you all doing, not what the service you're providing the students, but just specifically looking at that usage of land. And something, as Joe mentioned, is just would be really unprecedented for us to do this in terms of a temporary variance or anything. So just when we start deliberating, I just wanted to make sure I put that out there in the atmosphere for you all, whatever comes out of our deliberations and in support or not in support of the application. So did we have any comment that came in that you wanted to read, Matt?
Yeah, there is a few things. Before I get to that, I want to say two things. First, while we've addressed that our current code does not allow temporary variances, one of the things the board can consider, and this is because the applicant has stated it, is that while there's no temporary variance, the board can discuss approving the variance on condition that it only remain for the life of the current user of the property. And that's because the current user of the property is making the argument that they need it, whereas another user may not in fact need it. So that is one thing that you can explore directly related to this particular user needing it and potentially not another one. So while it's not a temporary variance, the variance is connected to the current user and their needs.
Can I ask a question? Or
sure.
I could save it. Well, I don't know. If it was a permanent variance, would that mean that they just have to then get a permit to have it removed? Is that why it needs to be, is that the?
Yeah, generally a variance is thought to, in most ways it does run with the life of the land. Our current zoning code for the city of Rochester just doesn't have a temporary variance. So in answer to your question, so let's say, for example, fast forward 5 years, the current user moves out of the location. They wouldn't need a permit to do it, but they would need to take that down as they're readying the site for another user. So say another user does move in there and they start using the shed, I'm going to make the assumption the residents in the area are going to know that condition exists if that current user tries to use it, knowing that it was connected to the previous user. So they wouldn't necessarily need to get a permit to remove it, but as they're readying the site for a new user and moving out, with the scenario that they're moving out, they would have to remove that.
Which kind of sounds like the plan anyway?
Correct, yeah. And it looks like the applicant shaking her head, so.
Okay. Okay.
Good questions. There is one additional comment I'm going to read. We did have one person sign up to give testimony, but I don't see them on the call. There are two comments in the staff report, and I wanted to draw your attention to one dated July 29th. This particular comment came in after the first hearing, but long before the additional information was submitted. I reached out to the individual that submitted this, asking if they would still like me to include it. I did not get a response, so I did include it. But this would have been submitted prior to all of the new information. So I wanted to draw your attention to that. And for additional public comments, we do have one that was referenced by the applicant from Kevin McTighe, 360 Maplewood Avenue. It reads, "Dear zoning board members, regarding the proposed construction of a garage not meeting the location requirements for detached accessory structures at UPrep, I hereby withdraw my prior objection. After meeting with the administration members at UPrep in September, their need for additional storage space became clear to me. While I remain concerned about the impact this structure might have on our neighborhood and the future implication of temporary variance might have, it is clear to me that the school administration understands our neighborhood's hesitation to sign off on the project. Their commitment to the students is their overriding objective, and I find that a compelling reason to reconsider. I believe their goal is to provide a comprehensive educational experience for their students, and physical education is an important part of that goal. I long ago adopted a simple guiding mantra for my view toward our block club, quote, respect your neighbors, respect your neighborhood, unquote. UPrep is our neighbor and they are part of our neighborhood. Respect is a mutual endeavor. They have demonstrated that they respect our concerns as well as our neighborhood. I think that is only fair, and especially in these terribly contentious times, it is right to offer acceptance, trust, and cooperation to them. I would like to thank Mr. Kevin Klein, Ms. Suki Cintrone, Mr. Walter Larkin, and Mr. Raheem Miller, along with full staff and faculty at UPrep for their hard work and in a very hard job. Respectfully submitted. And that was the only additional comment. And I'm checking to see if we have the call-in person. It does not look like we do.
Okay. That'd have been cool to get our first call in, but I guess we have to wait another month for that. So team from UPrep, did you have any additional comments you wanted to make?
I think Ms. Harris had one, but I wanted to say I completely understand the president issue, but also we are in a unique situation where we have 3 front yards, not much space to put anything anywhere. So I just urge the board to consider that while you're considering everything else with regards to the variance. Thank you so much.
Thank you. For me, one thing we do with our kids is, I would be interested in getting some of our kids to participate in something like this, particularly because we're a CTE school. Regardless of the decision, at some point I would want to reach out to someone and get something set up so our kids can understand this process, particularly because they're doing construction and machining and IT. But thank you guys for your time today.
Yeah, please reach out to us. You should have my email. I know Suki does. Would be happy to get something together.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you all.
Okay, well, get the kids to negotiate a lease to get Charlotte High School from the city school district and call the zoning board because it's empty if last time I checked. But hey, thank you guys. We appreciate it. And we're going to close case number 1.
All right, we will jump into case number 2, file number V-021-2021, excuse me. Area variance at 37 Wall Street. This is in the R1 low density residential district. The applicants are the homeowners, Ian Irving and Nikki Miller, and the purpose is to install a driveway which terminates in the side yard accessory to a single family dwelling, not leading to a legal parking space. And we have Nikki with us here on the call.
Good evening, Nikki.
Hi.
How are you?
Hi, everybody. I'm good. Thank you.
I'm going to swear you in and then give you the floor to present your case. So do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you are about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Yes.
Okay, 15 minutes. The floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you. I have Ian here with me, also owner of the property.
Hello.
Our property is a single family home and we have only off-street parking, as you know. So what we're trying to do is to put a driveway in the side yard, which terminates in the side yard. Our current property in the yard as it's laid out does not allow for a drive or a parking spot to be in the rear of the house. There's only 5 foot 10 inches available space before it drops down into like a slope, which I'm trying to build up little by little, but it is cost prohibitive for us to create the land that would be required to put in the appropriate parking space. So I have included some photos of the renderings that we're planning to do. It's a concrete driveway that would terminate in the side yard, and we are going to pay for a screen or gate to be with a steel frame on the back side and a 6-foot privacy fence facing the street. So the car would be behind that screen anyway. And the driveway would be concrete. So it should look pretty nice when it's done. There's several reasons why we feel off-street parking is necessary. Vandalism is pretty common. We have had, I'll just cite a few events that have happened. 2 vehicles were broken into on Christmas of 2017, our vehicle and our guest's vehicle. In mid-October, this past October 2020, a person was chasing a vehicle reversing down Wall Street while attempting to shatter its windows with a pipe at 2 o'clock in the morning. And this continued onto South Avenue and May Street with an attempt at 3 different windows. Our neighbor at 80 May Street, who has no off-street parking either, also had her whole car stolen. Our former neighbor and previous owner of 32 Wall Street had a guest for several weeks whose vehicle was safe in the driveway and immediately broken into. The first overnight it was parked on Wall Street. The winter is another compelling argument. In my opinion, the plowing is a continuous reality up to half the year in Rochester, as everyone knows. Being plowed in is also pretty constant. We maintain a clear plowed area on Wall Street in front of our home for our vehicles. However, since it is a public street, we cannot guarantee our vehicles will get the available spaces. So it's frustrating to endure a Rochester winter and regularly clear that area and then possibly not get to it first. Accidents is another reason why we feel a driveway is necessary. The 3 houses directly across from us on Wall Street have steep inclined driveways. Occasionally, their owners' vehicles are not equipped to make it up or down them safely in the winter months. And on these occasions, more vehicles require street parking. And plowed spaces are very enticing. There has been the occasional ice slide back onto the street from their driveways and impact into our vehicles. Likewise, in nice weather months, our vehicles have been backed into by delivery drivers reversing out of these driveways, as well as our vehicles being subject to poor driving, mostly reversing onto the street into our parked cars. That all of these things have happened. All of the events that I just mentioned have happened within the last 3 years. Events, as everyone knows, the Lilac Festival is a 10-day festival that happens directly across the street from our house. It is a kind of a trying 10 days for us. Our property is right across the street from the festival entrance. It is beyond frustrating to have no available parking after a workday. This, aside from having to deal with increased noise, litter, questionable parking choices, the lawn destruction and damage, and occasional hostility by festival patrons. And the city does not make Wall Street one way or close it off. And most of the other neighborhoods in the area are protected, which also increases the likelihood for property damage for us. So I've included several photographs of side yard parking on May Street and Wall Street, which is our street and then the next street over, as examples that it's not out of character for the area to do what we want to do. And I'd like to note that none of them have their vehicles behind a screen or a gate. There's going to be no environmental risk. There's nothing under the area where we're hoping to put it. And there's no impedance on neighboring properties due to our driveway installation. The side yard next to us the home next to us has a side yard that butts up to us. And I believe the owner of that property is in support of the driveway. Mark Hughes is his name. So, and I think finally, it will encourage the next owner, if we ever do sell the house and move to be possibly a single family instead of more rental properties, which is probably something for the other owners in the neighborhood to be in favor of. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Nikki.
Yep.
We're gonna throw it to the board for some questions. We'll start with Jim.
Well, your reasons are certainly logical, and I'm very glad that you got buyback from so many of your neighbors. One second here. I was looking at a letter. I'm not going to try to pronounce the person's name because I would butcher it. But that person mentioned that your gated fence would be a little bit closer to Wall Street. How far would that gate move? 2 or 3 feet?
4 feet. It would just there's a little window that is in the basement that's about 4 feet in front of the gate entrance as it is. And we just want to capture that window also.
And you have one.
And it would,
I'm sorry.
it would make a parking space for in front of the house. Like if there's 2 vehicles, one would fit in front of the house and one would fit behind the gate.
Uh-huh. I'm all set. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Jim. Matt, any questions?
I have no questions.
Thank you. Lorraine?
I just have one. I was just wondering, do you know why the city won't close your street during the festival?
Oh, I wish I
You mentioned
did.
that the other streets were closed.
Very many streets are closed. All of the other neighborhoods, not our neighborhood. So like May Street is not closed. Wall Street is not closed. Like the area that the distillery is around. I don't know if it's Strong neighborhood or Upper Mount Hope. I'm not sure what it's called. None of our streets are blocked off, and I don't know if that's because of the proximity with which we are to the festival or because a lot of the properties in our area are rental properties.
Well, in any case, thank you for the answer. And I thought that was a really nice little street there. I'd never been all the way on it.
Oh,
it's really kind of
yeah,
cute there.
We do like it very much, and we've done a lot. We really enjoy the area, and our neighbors I have good relationship with most of our neighbors, and there wasn't too many people who couldn't understand why we would want one after going through the Lilac Festival for a few years.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you very much. Cora?
Yeah, I just had one question. If you could go back to the photos of the rendering from the front. So I did visit the site. I don't remember exactly. I remember that it's kind of like a oblong shaped lot. So in the renderings, so you have the shrubs on the one side, which I really like. And then the other side, it kind of fades away. So is there still going to be some greenery on that side? Right, exactly where Matt is.
Yeah, the left side of the house, so where the steps to our front porch are, and the walkway to those steps will be concrete from the steps over to where the driveway is going to terminate. The entire left side of the house, if you're facing it, is going to remain landscaped with grass and, lovely things in the springtime.
So, okay, so then from like the steps over is all concrete? Is that right?
From the entrance of the house, like we have the porch that comes right off the front of the house, right where the steps terminate. If you're facing the house on the left-hand side, right where the steps end to the left there will be concrete over. So we'll have somewhere. Yeah, there's kind of it's kind of janky as it is right now. So we just figured it would be cleaned up and we'd have a nice place to put our garbage cans and stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Cora. Joe?
No comments.
Holly?
No questions.
And I don't have any questions as well. Matt, any feedback to read?
Yes, there is there's feedback included in the staff report, and then there's one additional public comment. It comes from Joan Gray Lindberg at 32 Highland Avenue. Dear Zoning Board of Appeals, I support the application to install a driveway at 37 Wall Street. I just walked to that location to see if the property had a curb cut that would facilitate entry to a driveway. Wall Street does not have curbs. A driveway at that location would, 1, help facilitate snow removal, 2, allow DES to collect loose leaf litter in the fall, and 3, reduce the trauma of street parking during the 10 days of the Lilac Festival. Wall Street is a narrow crescent. On-street parking should be kept to an absolute minimum. Many properties in the Lilac neighbor's area, just north of Wall Street, have side driveways that do not terminate in a garage. Not all of the houses built 100 years ago had the luxury of garages or driveways. Please allow the variance. It makes sense. Thank you for the opportunity to comment on this matter. I am expressing my personal opinion, not speaking on behalf of the Lilac neighbors. And that was all the comments for that one.
Okay. Any other comments, Nikki, that you had?
No, thank you.
I just want to get one clarification from the applicant. I know there's a small concrete sidewalk that connects the public sidewalk to your steps. Are you planning on keeping that so there's a connection between the public sidewalk and your steps?
No, we're not planning on keeping that.
Okay, so that would be removed and then you'd do the concrete driveway along the side of the house.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify so I know in case it comes up in deliberations.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're on closed case number 2.
Okay, case number 3. Case number 3 is file V-022-2021. It's an area variance request at 460 Buffalo Road, located in the M1 Industrial District. The applicant is Manuel Ochoa of Council Rock, and the purpose is to install a wind turbine on the roof of an existing manufacturing building not meeting the location requirements for detached accessory structures. And I do believe we have a number of people on the call for this one. Let me give a count. Looks like we have Paul and Manuel, so 2 people total.
So Manuel and Paul, how are you both tonight?
Unmute, okay? And I'll put my video on. Great, I'm doing great, thanks guys.
Is Manuel with us as well? I just want to
I believe
swear.
he's on the phone.
Okay, let me hear him.
Let me get him in here.
Okay, I have him.
I'm here. I'm sorry. Now I know how to unmute.
Hey, I'm gonna swear you both in if you both are speaking, and then we'll give you your time. So, do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you are about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, yep.
I do.
15 minutes, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Great, I'll start first, Manuel, to give him a little background about the wind turbine and what we're doing. I'm Paul Pavone, of course, you heard that. We started out of Clarkson University with a small ducted wind turbine. We were funded, it started about 2016. We were funded by the US Department of Energy, NREL, the National Renewable Energy Lab. So it was to get the small wind turbine going for resiliency. The turbine is patented and puts out twice the energy as an open bladed system. If you, I should have some photos. And then as we got that going, and we've had the same turbine that we will be putting up on this building, hopefully, that's the spec sheet on it, is the same one we'll do on the rooftop. It's a rooftop, so we don't disturb any subsurface or on the ground or anything like that. It's on a 20-foot tower. It's a 9-foot diameter, actually. We've been doing that. That's been up and running at Clarkson for a while. The second part is through an ignition grant through NYSERDA, New York State. We've been working with Council Rock for a while. And what NYSERDA asked us to do is they gave us the ignition grant to commercialize a particular product, part of the turbine, but to team with Council Rock and bring this complete new energy product to accelerate it, to get it to market as fast as we can. So basically what it is Council Rock at the same time has developed a solar inverter and controller. I'm not gonna get too technical, Manuel, we can lull you to sleep on some of this stuff. And basically they do the solar part already and do energy storage with it. So we can do grid tied or non-grid for emergency preparedness and those applications. So why we want the turbine on the roof is nobody yet has developed an inverter system to control solar and wind into one controller where you can control the wind turbine for the output of power and the solar and be able to grid tie it, and that's what they're doing. So we're at that phase now. So we're in that milestone with NYSERDA to get that done. So that's that phase. Why we're looking at this building, and people have said, well, why don't you just do this at Clarkson, is because they have the electrical engineers. They have the bandwidth. They have 50 employees in the city. They're also located, Manuel can tell you a little about Council Rock. They have 2 facilities. One is also in downtown. And let's see, here else what I want to give you. So I was just with them today. I guess the biggest thing is that the turbine itself it gives you a really low cost per kilowatt hour. And we have sales already. We're getting another phase through the Department of Energy. We should be creating, we've looked at it right now. We filed with Startup New York, but we're just going to move on before that, about 20 jobs. And that will happen in Rochester. That will be engineers, designing, and then the manufacturing will be done here at this facility. And then we'll be shipping. We have sales in the Caribbean, also into New York State. We haven't done residential yet, but this will be light commercial server rooms, emergency preparedness. Department of Energy have asked us already to look into a portable system that we could put on big rigs. That would also be done here. Let's see. Basically, the NYSERDA grant is just to accelerate it. They threw some money at this to get this done quickly. They'd like to see this. It's an 18-month process. We think we can do it quicker and hit our milestones and get this thing out. The turbine we're in generation 3 in production of the wind turbine. So we're running them. We have one at Intertech, which is a third-party validation certification facility in Cortland that's there now being tested and run. So we're very comfortable with it. What it doesn't show in this photo is it's a 20-foot aluminum pole. We have a structural engineering firm to come in to make sure everything's safe. The landlord would like it. It'll have 4 guide wires on it. The guide wires tie off to the parapets. So the turbine itself only weighs a little less than 500 pounds for everything with the tower. And then the 4 guide wires will come off. We've had this turbine is designed to, I'll just call it AWEA, which is the American Wind Energy Association 9.1. We've had this designed for 133 mile-an-hour winds. We've also designed tilt down towers. This won't be, but for the Caribbean, so it can tilt down during hurricanes for emergency relief. We've had this turbine in 70 mile-an-hour winds already on Tully down by Cortland, south of Syracuse in the test facility. 67 mile-an-hour wind, no issues. The blades are carbon fiber. The duct itself is rotomolded plastic, which basically is like, if you go, kayaks are made out of. So it's very light, very durable. All the materials in the stem part is aluminum. It has no oil in it. It sits on a yaw swivel bearing, so it tracks the wind. You put grease in it and that's it, but it doesn't really spin. It can, but it doesn't need to spin. It'll track the wind for you. Let's see, I think, Manuel, you could fill them a little on Council Rock because this is the next phase, is a lot of electrical engineering part to get this.
Yeah, thank you,
market.
Paul. So what I can add to that is, so Council Rock, we are actually, we have our offices in downtown. We're in the Cascade district. We have about 25 electrical engineers there. And what we are going to be doing, like Paul described, we need the turbine because we need to be able to design and build this inverter. We already have it with the solar energy coming in. We're going to be taking in the energy from this wind turbine, and we are going to be doing a lot of testing. I want to make sure that it's clear that we are not going to connect this turbine to anything to the grid. It's going to be isolated. It's just for testing. Initially, we wanted to have this turbine in our office, in the rooftop of our office in downtown, but that was not possible. So we have another facility in Buffalo Road, which is the one that you're looking in the picture. That facility is basically it's a warehouse. We don't have any engineering laboratories there, so we're going to be able to have that turbine there. We're going to have communications to our office. We're setting up some offices for some engineers, and we are going to be just basically building this next generation of inverters so that we can do everything that Paul already described. We've been in business for over 10 years now. Downtown Rochester, overall number of employees is about 45 people. And we are just hiring new talent for this project. We just recently hired a couple of electrical engineers that will be supporting this effort as well.
From Clarkson.
From Clarkson and RIT.
And RIT, yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, that's the project, and we can go into more details if anyone is interested.
One other thing, Manuel, is the blades when they're spinning, right? This is designed. This isn't just put an airfoil around blades. This has been designed and patented by aeronautical engineer Professor Ken Visser at Clarkson, and also, so the blades are designed specifically to go inside a duct like you'd have on an airplane. So therefore, they can't throw ice, they don't come off, anything like that. The other thing is when it comes into the building, we'll be using a safety shutoff box. So we can, I'll call it shunt, or we can stop the blades and shunt them, and it'll just be stopped and when they don't need it as much. The nice thing about the inverter, when we were talking today with the engineering crew, is we can also do energy storage. And NYSERDA really wants us to start looking at being able to do energy storage. What they like about this inverter is when it's complete, is when you can add wind to the energy storage system, instead of just solar, which is available today. When you can add wind, because the wind blows at night in some places, you can reduce the amount of battery usage or size by 30 to 50%. And that's what NYSERDA really likes, because it brings costs down. Our metric is cost per kilowatt hour, right, of energy. So that's this project.
Thank you both very much. Appreciate that, and we appreciate the lesson. It got really deep.
Sorry about that.
Oh, it's fine. No, it's fine. It was great. I think it was great for the board. So I think folks may have some questions. So we're going to kick it to the board, and we're going to start with Jim.
Good evening. There was a letter to Council Rock from the city of Rochester referring to the height of this unit as being 26 feet. And I assume that's from the roof up to the top of the blade area?
Correct. Yeah. It's a 20-foot pole that we're going to have, and then the additional height is because of the blades themselves.
Okay, and it's 23 feet off the ground. So essentially we're talking 49 feet. Frankly, I like the location. I like the fact that it's at the west end of the property and they collect all that stuff. And I don't have much to say. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Jim. Matt?
Also, Jim, we haven't manufactured, which will be done. The pole is aluminum, 5-inch aluminum. So I'm probably I only want the top of that turbine a particular height. We don't want to exceed too high. So it'll probably be, I'm almost positive it's going to be lower than that.
Thanks to both of you.
Thank you.
Matt, any questions?
Yep, I got a couple. In terms of the operation, is there any sort of sound or is there a large sound that comes from the turbine?
That's a great question. No, this was designed, it's less than 40 decibels. We've checked that. That's being tested at Intertech also, so we'll have the verification. No vibration. Actually, we have a video of the one. We've had one up at the Clarkson TAC building now since, since April. We put it up for Earth Day, April 26th, 2019, and it's been running straight through on that building. So there's no sound. You'll hear the wind more than you will blades or anything. It's very quiet.
All right. Also, in terms of the location, just out of curiosity, is there an alternate location that you guys have considered, or is this the only location that works?
This is the alternate location that we are considering. We initially wanted to install this turbine in our offices in downtown, but there was no, I think it was more difficult to get that permit.
Yeah.
I can answer that real quick. It's a good question. So the original request came in to do, they're currently in the Cascade District on the west side of downtown. So the applicants had originally proposed it on their building down there. Such accessory use and structure is not permitted. There's no way to seek an approval. So the alternative was putting it here, which still requires an area variance, but an area variance is still lesser of the two no's, basically.
Gotcha.
Anything else, Matt?
I have other questions, but it's outside the scope of this, so I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay, great. Paul probably can give you his card and tell you all.
Yeah,
it's the way of the future, let me tell you.
Yeah, if you guys can't sleep at night, I'll send you
Lorraine, go ahead.
You have my contact information somewhere.
It'll definitely put you to sleep.
Lorraine, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
See, I have to commend you on this venture. I think it sounds great. I lived on the West Coast for over 25 years, and we're talking wind turbines. This is a small wind turbine. I think it's great. So
thank you.
Congratulations.
The thing about this is in California, they just passed a law. We're going to be shipping out of this building, manufacturing, putting it together, creating jobs, creating and
That's
shipping.
Great.
And we've talked to cell towers because there's a new law in California have to be powered by alternative energy. And all the fires, people want their cell phone on. So when there's no power, people don't like that. So we're looking at that right now where we'd manufacture here, ship out, and we're setting up installers at that point.
That's a good boost to the economy here too in the state. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Cora?
No questions, thank you.
Joe?
No questions.
Holly?
I couldn't unmute for a second. I just had a question about forgive my lack of technical expertise, the round thing, that's the thing that prevents birds from getting slaughtered?
We get that question often. Yeah, it's called a duct. And how it works is what you're looking at in this picture here is the wind actually comes in from this side. The duct expands, you get a pressure drop. The blades are encapsulated in there. They're inside. There's 5 of them. And they're designed specifically by an aeronautical engineer from aerospace at Clarkson for the inside a duct. That duct is basically an airfoil. It's an airplane wing that's been designed and put around these blades, and the blades are designed specifically. That's why we produce. This is not a new concept. Others have tried it, but we've actually done it, and now U.S. Department of Energy is now funding us and getting us through all these different phases to take this through the United States, actually.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the birds will see it. That's the beauty of it, right?
Right, not flying.
Not an open bladed system. Good question.
Thank you.
And I don't have any questions. Commend you guys on this work and wish you the best of luck. Matt, do we have any public feedback or comment?
No feedback on this case.
Okay, Manuel and Paul, thank you very much. We're going to close your case. Have a great night.
Thanks.
You too, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you both. We're going to get started with case number 4, file V-023-2021. It's an area variance, 291 South Plymouth Avenue. in the R3 High Density Residential District. The applicant is Joel Barrett, who is the property owner, and the purpose is to construct 3 single-family attached dwellings, which are townhomes, a permitted use in the district where they are proposed, but not meeting certain lot area and yard requirements. And this evening we have the property owner Joel with us.
Joel, how are you tonight?
All right, now I think you can hear me. Video.
And we can see you. How you doing tonight, Joel?
All right, terrific. I'm not bad, thank you. It's been an interesting meeting. I'm learning a lot about a lot of different things within the city. So that's
that's what we're here for. That's what
yeah.
Let me swear you in and let you get started.
Okay.
So
Sounds good.
do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you are about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
15 minutes. The floor is yours.
So I've been before the board with something similar to this project not too long ago that had very similar variances, a setback, and then also the lot coverage variance. We were contemplating doing a multifamily. We were thinking we were going to move forward with it. Things didn't exactly work out with the multifamily financially. There had just been a significant amount of multifamily structures in the nearby area. We initially had done an adaptive reuse project on the existing structure, something that was built in the late 1800s, converted that into 6 apartments. So we definitely, wanted to fully, always had envisioned building something on this adjacent parcel, which is basically paved over. There probably isn't a whole lot of green space on there right now outside of the yard in front of, I guess it would be to the north of 291 South Plymouth, the existing structure. But so the area where these townhomes are proposed is currently pavement. So we're actually adding a little bit of green space to the area. But I think it's a really nice example of a project that is not dissimilar to what's there. And this project kind of encapsulates a lot of what has happened in Cornhill that has made Cornhill so unique and such an asset to the community, is that you've taken an older structure, you've rehabilitated that and restored it, and then you also have some, townhomes built adjacent to it. So this is kind of like, in a nutshell, you have some adaptive reuse on an existing structure, a restoration project going along there, and then you also have creating some new home ownership within the city of Rochester. The setback on these is not too dissimilar to properties adjacent to it. So if you're continuing down South Plymouth there to get to Exchange, we have townhomes that are on the right side of South Plymouth that are very similar setback. I wasn't able to exactly calculate it, but I did walk the area pretty extensively. And I would say it's between 8 and 10 feet, which is very similar to what I'm requesting. There's a property that's, I guess, kitty corner across the street, although it does face Fitzhugh. As South Plymouth never really came through that way, it actually used to continue in the front of this residence and continue on to Adams Street and connect that way in front of the property before. So it's not dissimilar to what has already been done in the area. And I think it's just kind of a unique project that really highlights infill development. It's a smaller development project. We did some adaptive reuse on existing structures, did a lot to preserve the look and feel of the brick building that's on the property. And then we're adding some home ownership as well. And it's not a large parcel by any stretch, but I think we're accomplishing something that the neighborhood appreciates. We did a restoration project on the site already. And then to add a little bit more home ownership to the area with variances that are very similar to neighboring lots. It's definitely something that I'm proud of. So I think these variances are not unreasonable given how Cornhill is, the neighborhood Cornhill itself. I'm trying to think if there's any other information, if you want me to speak outside the variances at all, or describe any of the structures a little bit more, but we did do, I believe that there's a rendering. You definitely have some elevations there. Yeah, probably not the rendering. That might have been saved for our social media account. Unfortunately, I don't know if we presented that, but we did do a rendering online somewhere that I should have probably provided that to Matt. And
was it a color rendering?
Yeah. Yeah, it was part of the planning board or the subdivision meeting had a copy of that for whatever reason, but it probably did filter into the final permit set documents. So I
It's
apologize.
fine. We can read what it says. It's
Yeah.
Anything else, Joel? Or you good? You want to start with questions?
No, I'm comfortable with questions. I think,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, we'll start with Jim.
Well, frankly, the word that comes to my mouth about this project is excitable. I like what I see. I like the fact that vehicles will be parked indoors, and I don't have a problem with the setbacks when I look at the nearby properties. I think it fits. No questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Matt, any questions?
Yeah, so just one minor, hopefully it's minor, one minor question. I know that the parking is slated to be underneath the structures.
Yes.
What I've not been able to get clarity on, just from the renderings and everything, is how would one access those parking units? Would the driveway be accessible from Fitzhugh, or where's the driveway in?
It's good because it actually doesn't look that clear, but we are going to be adding an additional curb cut on the Fitzhugh side. And then, the way that the site plan looks, the curb cut is probably directly in front of Unit B currently. So the existing curb cut will have to be relocated and shifted west down Plymouth Avenue. I haven't determined, I think actually a one-way entry at the Fitzhugh side to be able to access. So we are going to have some cross-access easements. I believe that the subdivision board had us prepare those prior to granting subdivision. So tenants that would live at 291 South Plymouth, the existing structure, would be able to pull in from Fitzhugh and then out onto South Plymouth Ave. So there's currently one curb cut, and then the project will ultimately have two. But I agree, it's not extremely clear on the site plan document, or at least the one that was included within the architecturals. I think the engineering site plan has a little bit more detail to describe that.
Okay, it actually raises a little bit more questions for the most part.
Okay.
Because I when I was out there, it looked like it was depth wise from South Plymouth Ave to the back of the structures. It doesn't look like it's that deep of an area to allow for the structure itself, as well as the parking lot that you have on the rendering here. It looks like it would cut into the other property. Is that like, what is that? Is there another diagram that you would refer us to
I know within the site plan, and I'd have to pull that document out myself. I don't know if it's within this, because looks like the architectural permit set drawings, but we definitely have met the code requirement for backup space. And off the top of my head, I want to say that the required is somewhere between, the minimum is 16 feet. I think the maximum for two-way traffic might be 24 feet, but we have definitely met the requirement for backup to pull in. There will be no two-way traffic. I think that would be, so you're right, it does seem a little bit narrow, but we are not going on to the other property. I think there will even be a sliver of green space, because there's probably a setback for the driveway, whether it's 5 or 7 feet. So we are within compliance on that. And I know that we have enough. I don't know the distance off the top of my head, though. I'd have to maybe break out a small ruler and print out my the actual site plan document. But
okay,
that wasn't a variance that we had required. We're not onto the property line with our driveway or the neighboring property. Yes. So the dotted line, the darker line, is where the property would end, and then probably if you zoom in quite a bit, there would be some reference to the distance between the edge of pavement and the other property line. Probably not without doing, you might not get the exact distance off of the edge of the building, but you're getting the width. I'm not sure if this dimension in lot 2, to the left side of the lot 2, where it says 28 feet, I don't know if that's, or 20 feet, a little bit to the left of that, it's on a vertical accent, like it's, But you can see the edge of pavement, and then we probably have another 5 to 7 feet of grass behind that before our property line ends. I'm not sure if that's the actual dimension there. But
Yeah, Joel, I'm trying to locate it here. Bear with me.
it's probably like, see, engineers and architects, they're technical, so they put these
Hey,
little.
Matt.
Yeah.
This is Joe. If it helps,
Yeah.
go back to that site plan you had. And if you look at the width of the lots.
This one here,
okay,
Joe?
Yeah, blow that up a little bit.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, you can see the width of the lots are 21, 20, and 25.
Yeah.
Okay, you can use that graphically to almost superimpose that from the lot line to the units.
The back.
And that's well over 20 feet. It looks like they're 24 to 25 feet. And
right. I think that number where it says, I think to the left of it says 22.99 feet. And I think that's from the unit A to the back of the lot line.
Yeah, I thought that too, but that's actually
Is
that's actually the coordinates of the survey.
Yeah,
But if you just look at the 21.15 and just say that looks like it's, if you take that little line and rotate it at 90 degrees, you can see that you're well over 20 feet to 24 feet, maybe even more. So if that helps you out, Matt, it looks like they do have more than enough room.
Okay, makes sense.
Joe, we've got our own architect as well here at the ZBA.
I know, Joe is.
We got everything you need.
I know.
Matt, are you all set with questions?
Yeah, I'm all set. Thank you.
Maureen, going right ahead.
No questions, but I just wanted to say that it's a very nice project, and thank you.
Thank you.
Cora?
No, I don't have any questions either. I remembered this as soon as I pulled into the lot today. I remember this project, and I love home ownership too. So no question.
They are still they're not all sold yet. So we'll.
Hey, Joe, you can't sell stuff on his own.
we are on live YouTube.
Joe, go right ahead.
Yeah, just on that same plan, Matt, if you just scroll up a little bit north, I just would like to maybe will be granted with a condition that existing curb cut where the asphalt is in front gets removed. Yeah, right in there, and is returned to the green space.
Yeah, that's definitely in our plan to do that.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay.
And Holly, any questions?
Nothing from me, thanks.
Okay, Joel, hey, thank you. Great project and good luck to you. No further questions. Do we have any comment to read into the record?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
And I'm attempting to zoom out here. Bear with me. There we go. This hearing is really testing my technology skills. Okay, we have one additional comment here in support of this 291 South Plymouth. It comes from Anita Hansen of 40 Adams Street. It says, I live in the Avery townhomes adjacent to 291 South Plymouth, of which there are 7 units in a U shape. Most, if not all, of our 7 homeowner residents are in favor of this project. We know the work that Joel Barrett of Base Build has done for the old red brick building on the property that now houses 6 contemporary apartments. It is fabulous. In addition, he and his team renovated the exterior, bringing it back to its glory. I have seen what I think is the most current plans for the 3 units he wants to build, and they look good from my layman's perspective. I look forward to attending this Zoom public hearing on the 19th to hear of the requirements not being met. Thank you for the opportunity to comment on this case. And that's the only additional feedback we have for that one.
Joel, any other additional comments? I mean, we're singing your praise tonight, man. So I don't think you got to say another word, but thank you. That's about it.
I would say thank you. Two words.
Hey, appreciate it. And good luck to you. We're going to close your case. Have a good night.
Thank you.
We will get started with case number 5, which is file V-024-2021. It's an area variance request at 456 Oxford Street in the R2 medium density residential district. The applicant is Barbara Brescia. My apologies for butchering your last name, Barbara, who is the property owner. The purpose is to demolish a detached carriage house garage style structure at the rear of the property which is a contributing structure to the property being listed as a designated building of historic value. And tonight we have with us the property owner, Barb.
Barbara, how are you tonight? Yeah, Matt, you're struggling tonight with the getting the folks in here.
Looks like Barbara's on mute.
Oh, I can't see her.
Give me 1 second here.
Is that good now?
There she is.
Yes, we can hear you. How are you?
Great. How are you? I think you missed it, but I said I'm actually a little bit nervous.
We'll be good to you. We're very nice.
Okay.
We just ask tough questions, but we're nice.
Okay.
So let me swear you in and I'll let you get started. So do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you are about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
15 minutes. The floor is yours.
Okay, first of all, with me is my sister Beverly, and she and I are co-owners and co-occupants here at 456 Oxford Street. And I just want to add that we're one of the few houses left on the street that has never been broken up into any kind of rental situation. So right now, she and I reside here. You know, when we acquired the house, it was a while ago now, but it was so exciting to us. You know, I felt like I was going to be on this old house, and my sister was like, maybe we should sell it, take the money and run. Anyways, we both had this desire to live in the city. We never thought we could get this opportunity again. And so we jumped on it, and here we are. Okay, so we have this. I have to add that when we took this on, both properties, the house as well as the barn, it was really neglected over the years. And it was like a hoarder heaven, where it took us 3 40-yard dumpsters to empty the house. And then the garage was full of old windows, copper tubing, which that was a nice plus, but also probably a quarter of the garage was full of paint that looked like Leave It to Beaver's mother was on the can. And so we had to work with the county. They came out to make sure that we weren't like a company trying to dispose things. And my sister and I just spent 3 years unloading this paint with the county. So that was just the beginning of the process. Then we had to start working on the house, and we put in a new chimney. We put in a new roof. We had to have the back porch structurally redone. We had to do new steps on the front, as well as some brickwork. We had 2 new furnaces installed because it had the old octopus that was like an oil furnace. We put 2 new hot water heaters. We have all updated plumbing and electrical, and you know, and that was just to get it livable, because you know, the cosmetics, that was another whole story. So anyways, it's been a bunch of years, and as we went along working on this, we kept looking at the barn. I knew that, you know, I was just worried about the structural safety of it. And I had several contractors come out, and they assessed it, and they just said, you've got to worry about the house right now. And so if I were you, I would board up windows, you know, any places where animals and so on could get in, or people, obviously. And they put some structural beams on the front to reinforce it. And so the story goes on and on. Well, finally, last year, I think it was, we got a violation about the safety. And the violation was that we had to either repair or demolish. And, you know, quite honestly, we would have loved to repair it. It's, she and I both love the historical part of this house. We've restored our wood windows. We worked with Jerry Ludwig and Steve Jordan on the house inside. Anyways, back to the barn. I'm sorry. Back to the barn. We had 3 different people, 2 contractors and 1 architect come and just say, there really is nothing left of any kind of structural value here. The back wall had been cut out, at some point, and I think they allowed like extra length for cars. And at the same time, they took out all the structural footers. And so it's amazing that it still, seems somewhat standing, but we're in the situation now where the prices we got to redo anything or repair it, they were like exorbitant. They said, just quite honestly, it's like it would be probably $75,000 to $100,000 to restore it. And they just all, even though the one architect worked for Arrow Architecture, or Barrow Architecture, and she even said, I hate to say this, but I think your best bet is to have it demolished. So we're in that situation right now. We never realized until we hired a contractor who worked with a demolition company. And so the demolition company gave us an estimate, and I guess they did their part. We had an asbestos survey done. So that was done, and miraculously, it didn't show any asbestos. And so we thought we were on the road to something here. And then when the demolition contractor went to work on the permit, he was the one that came back and said, hey, you know what? This house has this DBHV, this designated building of historical value designation. And so now we started that process, and fortunately I had Chris Snyder and now Matt to help me through this, and then COVID hitting this process, I can't believe it. I've learned a lot, and it's amazing, but that's sort of my case right now. Woo, I've never talked so much in a short time, but anyways, that's sort of it. I think Matt has some pictures.
Yes.
Okay, so,
Yep.
all right, so the upper picture is a picture that we found we found the original abstract in the house. We had, I called the Landmark Society, and Cynthia Hauk, she helped me, and she said, I think you should go to the U of R, the Rush Reese Library, because you have your blueprints on file there. So I did all of that, spent the day. And anyways, this picture was from, I'd have to judge by the car, but that was before anybody I knew had this house. And the bottom picture is what someone turned the garage into. I think it was starting to slope. They put on a garage door on the right-hand side, and that little shed that's on the left, that was totally, the roof was all, holes in the roof where like the water and everything was just, so that's not even existent anymore. So that's the first picture. That's the front. Okay, Matt, do you have like the other pictures? Okay, that's let's see, that's the right side where from the original blueprints, it said that to the right of that, to the right of those shingles there was a manure pit at one time. So I assume this was a horse barn. And not that I assume, I know it was a horse barn. And, inside you could see like the doors where the hay was kept up on top. And, okay, so that's on the left-hand picture. Okay, here's a couple pictures of the inside. It was so dark, it was hard to get the pictures because right now we have it in a way where it's pretty boarded up because I really don't want to go in there too often. And so these are pictures of the inside. And it did have, there's a stairway. And when we first got the house, I did go upstairs in the barn. And it was amazing. There was a little room that it still had like a toilet and a towel bar in it. So I think a groomsman lived up there at one time. But this is sort of what's left. And it did have water and electricity. I had the electricity turned off when we first acquired the house. And then the water, I've just found out you could see it in the blueprint, but the water line goes through the house. So actually, I learned that the water line doesn't have to, it can be capped off, and it's a separate, it doesn't have to be, it's not going to interrupt the city water line. So let's see. Yeah, that upper picture on the blueprint was the original way that the barn looked, with the 3 barn doors. The left was the storage shed, and the right was the manure pit. And then that right building is really in the backyard. But anyways, that's where we're at.
Okay. You ready for questions from the board?
Sure.
Okay. We'll be good. Don't you worry. We'll start with Jim.
Okay, thanks. Be gentle.
Jim, go right ahead.
Well, at the start, you described yourself as being very nervous, and let me tell you, you speak excellently. So
Well,
I don't have any,
sir.
I don't have any questions for you.
Okay.
Matt?
Yeah, so I do have a question. It's in particular associated with the historic preservation. Are there any grants that have you really explored that possibility to find grants that could be used to preserve the property or preserve the barn?
I've looked into that a little bit. I don't know that I know how to look into it enough, because it seemed like any grant that I saw, just because, like I said, we're members of the Landmark Society, and so I get their little magazine and stuff, and they always talk about grants, but it seemed like it had to be more of a not just like a personal grant. I don't know. I'm sorry, I can't remember the term.
Not a grant, because 2 sisters
Because
living
2
here.
sisters don't have enough money.
2 sisters are broke.
Yeah, because 2 sisters had grandiose ideas, and
No grants for
probably
that.
and maybe should still be living in their little condo.
Well, no,
But I'm sorry, sir. So
well, I'll just say there are organizations and resource available locally, particularly for the preservation of historic buildings.
okay. So should I maybe inquire at the Landmark Society? Or just go online, maybe?
Or do you know of any that you can direct us to?
I can, but I want to be sure that I'm in compliance with any rules and regulations here. I don't want to necessarily doubt organizations.
I think the suggestion is noted, so I think we'll just move on from that
Okay.
point. Suggestion is noted. So any more questions?
That's all I had.
Okay, thank you. Lorraine?
No, I'm good. No questions.
Cora?
I'm just curious what your plan is for after demolition.
Right now, well, that even changed, because we got a couple quotes on some garages and everything, to even, if that was going to even be accepted, but on a garage. And it was just so expensive right now. And he just said things have gone up so much since COVID. But anyways, our immediate plan is to pretty much fill in and seed the area. And then what I'd like to do is have a sizable shed. Obviously I realize that it has to have a permit and everything. And quite honestly, we're sitting in the kitchen right now doing this, and it's facing the backyard. And I have enjoyed, even if it might be unsightly, I've enjoyed the privacy that barn has given me. It has our 2 little got to be pet feral cats. It's housed them forever. So right now, the thought of that privacy being lost and everything is killing me. And so I at least would like to put up a fence. But that's our only immediate plan, is to have it filled and seeded. Or
I was just curious. I think it was a very good presentation. I agree. You didn't sound nervous at all.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Cora. Joe?
No, I really don't have any questions. I just want to ask Matt maybe to caution Barb and Beverly that if they do any work in the backyard, they don't like exceed lot coverage with blacktop or anything, and they're back in for another variance. So just keep that in mind, Barbara, when you go to redo the backyard and that.
Because that's, Joe, to tell you the truth, that has been the hardest part of even the process for me with the area variance, because, you know, I would go back and forth with Chris Snyder and he'd be like, well, all right, we need a plan for this and this. I'm like, but I can't do that one. Look at the backyard. It's like an old broken up old driveway, and it's like a pond when it rains. So I have to even plan that. It's like everything is like a set of dominoes that A depends on B, you know, and I said, if I don't even know if we'll be allowed to have the garage demolished, I can't put in a nice driveway or whatever that's allowed before I go through the demolition.
I just caution you only because when I drove back there, you know, there were two vehicles parked over to the left and a large area of blacktop. And we get a lot of cases where people want to be able to back up in the backyard and drive out, you know, front first. So it's just a comment that maybe check with Matt, you know, before you go. If you do any improvements to the backyard after demolition, check with zoning before what you're allowed to do. Okay.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I've kind of figured
that's
that
all
out.
I got.
Yeah. All right. Thank you though for that.
Yeah, noted, Joe. We'll continue to work with you if you have questions on.
Great, Matt. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Holly, any questions?
Just a quick one. I know you said most of your neighbors are renters, but any of the owners, have you spoken to any of the neighbors? Are they happy?
Actually, yeah, I shouldn't say most of them, because like actually it happens that the one owner on let's see, on our driveway side, that's been a blessing too, because she's a nurse. She and her family, they kind of moved there when her kids were in high school. So we're very close with her. And so she, you know, we kind of always joke about like, honest, it's going to be fixed or, you know, torn down soon. And the other people really haven't said anything, and they don't seem to care much. I don't know.
He's a landlord.
Yeah, the guy on our left is a landlord.
Slumlord slash.
No,
landlord.
don't say that. Don't say that. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Barbara. You and your sister need a TV show because you guys are just great. I just want to let you guys know that.
Well, great. Now that I got this far, I just said to her, instead of preparing my speech, I spent most of the time trying to figure out how am I going to not look my age. I was like, I don't even know if you can see me. I dyed my hair for you guys. Anyways, okay. You know what? It's a late night and I'm sure you would like to go home. So anyways,
We are home.
Oh, you are home. I forgot.
Thank you both so much. Matt, do we have any comments?
No.
See, Barbara, you just ended it just like that. So we're going to close your case. You guys have a great night.
Well, thanks, Tyrese.
Thank you.
It was great talking with everyone.
Thank
Good
you.
night. Good night.
Okay. Hard act to follow. Case number 6, the final case of the evening is file number V-025-2021. It's an area variance at 224 Croydon Road, located in the R1 low density residential district. The applicant is Dr. Matt Flagg. He's the property owner, and tonight we have the architect, Peter Morse, here. And the purpose is to demolish an existing detached garage, which is a contributing resource to the property being listed as a designated building of historic value, and to construct a new 2-car detached garage, not meeting the height requirement for detached accessory structures. And we have Peter with us.
Hi, Peter. How are you?
Okay, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. How are you tonight?
Good, thank you.
I'm going to swear you in and let you go right ahead. So do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you are about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, 15 minutes. The floor is yours.
Okay, I'm with, is Dr. Flagg here? He was going to join the meeting. Matt,
I don't see him on, Peter.
All right, I'll go ahead.
Yeah.
Dr. Flagg hired our firm to look at his existing garage, and which is very, very minimalistic, and wanted us to demolish it and replace it with something a little bit larger and a lot more sympathetic with the design of the house. The house is kind of colonial, 1920s colonial revival. The garage is basically nothing more than storage. It really doesn't even function. So the request was to take the garage down and replace it with something a little bit more suitable and workable for 2 cars, and also to have some additional storage on the first floor and have an attic space. So we designed it to be a standard 2-car garage with, to the left-hand side, there would be some additional storage with a side door, and then internally there would be a set of stairs going up to an attic storage. It's unfinished space. He does have an electric powered car, so we're going to run a power line from the house to the garage. In terms of the request for the variance, though, we did pull it. The garage sets 3 feet from the property line, so we brought it into compliance. It's 5 feet on both rear and the side with the new proposal. Height-wise, we just had it designed the way it was in discussion with Chris and with Matt. There was an issue where we were off by basically 6 inches for the overall average height to the peak. So the peak is 19 feet, and that was calculated to the center of the roof height. So anyway, we were trying to be a little bit sensitive, use a little bit nicer materials. It's hardy plank, cement board siding, which is doesn't require painting. And then there's LP Smart Side trim, and again, all high maintenance items. And it would be just a usable 2-car garage, and there's a side area in the floor plan. Did we deliver a floor plan to you? Yeah, and there's a switchback stair going up, and then that area off to the double doors where you can keep the barbecue and have some nice lighting, and just have it just generally be an asset to the house as opposed to a non-functioning building right now. So that's about it.
Okay, thank you, Peter. We're going to open it up to the board for questions. So Jim, why don't you start?
Oh, I'm already on. Good. I was just wondering if the doctor was trying to get the 2 women from the previous case to speak on his behalf. But I took a look at that garage a couple of days ago, and I'm really glad that it's going away. It just doesn't match the neighborhood to me. This is an extensive build that you're doing out here, but I think it's going to fit quite well. I don't have any questions.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim. Matt?
No questions.
Thank you, Matt. Lorraine?
No questions.
Cora?
No questions.
And Joe?
Real quick, Peter, can you just clarify the height again? Did you say it's 19 to
It's
the
19.
ridge, or?
Yes, it's. We originally just kind of designed it that way. It's 19 feet, Joe, to the peak, but in talking with Matt, it was figured halfway, so it's actually 15 feet. So we were off by 6 inches in overall height in terms of level.
I got you. That's what. Okay, I see what you meant. Okay, I didn't quite understand that in your initial presentation. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Joe, the measurement on the drawing shows, I think 6 inches or something, but that's the finished floor grade for the, I'm sorry, 10 feet, 6 inches. So if you actually bring that down to the eaves and not the actual finished floor of the second floor of it, it puts it like Peter said, like an inch or 2 over. But the measurement, so this is the dormer, but the measurement for height is never to the peak. The zoning code definition measures it to, depending on the roof style. In this style, it's the average between the
right. Yeah. Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Holly, any questions?
No questions.
And Peter, I don't have any questions for you. Matt, any feedback to read into the record?
Yes, one. feedback came in. This comes from Holly Petsos at 175 Browncroft Boulevard. Dear zoning board members, I am writing regarding the approval of the variance application for a new garage for the above referenced property. I ask that you approve the application with the condition that the structure be used for cars and for storage only and not for any residential purposes. This particular condition would in no way impede the use of the structure for what the applicant is applying for and what he states he is intending to use it for. And that is all of the public comment for case 6.
Thank you, Peter. Anything else to add before we close the case out?
No.
Thank you so much, Peter. We're going to close the case. Have a good night.
Okay. You too. Thank you very much.
All right, and that will conclude the public hearing portion of the evening for the November 19th, 2020 Zoning Board of Appeals hearing for the city. Do you guys want to get right into deliberations? And if you do, we'll just need to give it a minute or two to switch over the stream. Do you guys want to take a break or get right into it?
We just take